Hello, and welcome back to the Casual Leader Podcast, your weekly dose of real talk for people building real businesses and trying not to lose their sanity along the way. I'm your host, and today we're talking about something that's been quietly nagging at me for months now. We're covering 5 AI shifts that are going to shape your future, and mine too. The first is how AI is becoming the operating system you live on top of, not just a tool that you open and prompt. The second is what just happened at Coinbase that should make every single one of us pay really close attention. The third is why every growth playbook you trusted is breaking in real time. And the fourth is how the infrastructure of life itself is being rerouted around AI. And final fifth is the part that nobody really wants to talk about right now, which is what it means for the 10% of us in this room and the ones that are in the midst of all the AI storms that are shaping the future for the other 90%. Whether you sign up for these shifts or not, they're coming for you and for me too. So here's what's actually coming. Shift number 1. AI becomes your personal operating system. The biggest shift in AI right now isn't a smarter model. It's a change in how we use the models and the tools we already have. ChatGPT launched on November 30th, 2022. 1 million users in just 5 days. By February of this year, OpenAI announced 900 million weekly active users and 50 million people actually paying for it. For the most of the last 3 years, the relationship was simple. AI was the thing you opened, ChatGPT was a tab. You went there, you asked a question, it came back with an answer, then you close the tab. Prompt in, answer out. Easy, right? That way of using AI models is dying really fast. The new way is actually through agents, plural, agents, specialized, running quietly in the background, each one doing one specific job. And you just sitting in the middle, directing them, guiding them, asking follow-up questions and answering their questions too. You know the drill. The clearest simple example came from a recent Lenny's podcast episode with Claire Vaux. She runs her business, her family schedule, and her kids' homeschooling on 9 specialized agents living on an old Mac Mini in the closet. Not one mega agent doing everything, but 9. One for inbox triage, one for content drafts, one for the kids' lesson planning, one for travel logistics, and a few more, each one tuned very specifically for one job. And that's not a one-off. We all have multiple cloud tasks open right now, probably. We all have an agent doing one thing or another doing something else. Claire just turned into a system that most of us are doing in a messier way. And companies are starting to measure that shift too. On Claire's own show, How AI, John Kim, the founder of Sunbird, actually shared how his company tracks AI fluency across every team. They build a 5-tier framework, and it looks something like this. Beginners use under 1 million tokens a day. Then you have intermediate, expert, architect, and catalyst. At the top of all those tiers sits the AI God tier, which is basically anyone burning more than 100 million tokens a day. I know, it's bonkers. And actually, every manager can see where their team members land. It isn't a performance review, but it's more of a way to map how everyone's still treating AI as a tab they opened versus who's living on top of it. And that's the gap that every single company now is trying to close. Remember that gap that I was telling you about, that it's getting wider and wider in a previous episode? Well, now that's kind of starting to get visible too. The shift is from AI is a tool I open to AI is the layer underneath everything I do. The advantage stops being the type of model that you want to use and starts being how you actually put everything together around the model. The person who has the best advantage isn't the one with the access to the best, latest, shiny model, but it's actually the one who knows how to use AI models to organize their own life and work clearly enough that agents can actually do something with it. So, context knowledge, knowing how to use AI best, becomes the new skill set that everyone is looking out for. Documentation becomes the new asset. Your own clarity becomes the bottleneck. And really, if you don't know what you want, you're kind of going to be stuck in limbo. Most people aren't ready for it. If you're running your life on agents, your life has to be readable to them. Your calendar, your priorities, your preference, your context. Most of us never really written down any of this. We kind of carry it in our own heads and thinking, oh, yes, I remember I have to do X. And that worked fine until the moment we actually want to delegate it and use agents with it. So the first shift is from using AI to living alongside it. And the people who get the most out of this shift won't be the ones with the absolute best prompts. They'll be the ones with the clearest context, instruction, and knowledge. The second shift that I want to talk about is that every role is becoming a founder role. So let's talk about what AI is doing to your daily work, because something just happened that should make every single one of us pay real close attention. A few days before we actually recorded this episode, on May the 5th, Coinbase laid off 14% of its workforce. That's roughly 700 people. Brian Armstrong sent a memo, the kind of memo that makes everyone in your group chat send the same screenshot. And I want to read the second half of it very, very carefully, because most of the coverage that you've seen missed the actual underlying story. He gave two reasons for the layoffs. The first one was the easy one. Crypto market is down, costs need to come down, standard, basic, classic. The second one, however, this is the one that matters. He said that AI has changed what's possible with a small team. He said engineers at Coinbase are now shipping in days what used to take a team a week. And he said that company is moving to what he calls AI native pods, including a one-person team where a single human directs agents that do the work of engineers, designers, and product managers. One-person team. This is not just another layoff story. That is the restructure of what work even is these days. He also said that Coinbase is replacing what he calls pure managers with player coaches, strong individual contributors who also lead teams. Each manager now oversees 15 or more direct reports, up from the corporate average of 12 just a year ago. The middle layer of organizations, the layer that managed without doing, is being really thinned out. Now, zoom out from Coinbase, because this is bigger than just one memo. The speed floor is moving everywhere. Engineers shipping in days, what used to take weeks, is kind of the headline these days. But the same thing is happening to designers who are now shipping code straight to production, not just mockups. The same thing is happening to product managers who are shipping prototypes instead of writing specs out. The same thing is happening to marketers who are running campaigns end to end without really using an ad agency. The whole what's expected in a week is resetting against AI native peers before our very eyes. You may not have felt it just yet. That's normal. You will feel it most probably in the next review cycle, or the first time you interview alongside someone who can do your job in a quarter of a time, or when your peer actually ships something in 3 days that would have taken your whole team a month last year. This is the same pattern that Kat Wu from Anthropic talked about on Lenny's podcast a few weeks ago. The same direction Block went when it cut 40% of its staff earlier this year. Every AI native company is heading in the same direction, just faster. If you're listening to this and you don't work at Coinbase, the question is not whether this comes for your industry. It's more when. And the better question is, what does my version of this looks like? My honest answer for most of us is that every single role is becoming more or less a founder role. Not in title, but in responsibility. Hear me out. Shipping outcomes, not hours. Direct agents and delegate work, not just execute tasks. You make calls that used to be made by someone above you because that someone above you doesn't really exist anymore. Leadership in this version of the world, the AI world, looks a little bit different too. The player coaches that Coinbase was talking about isn't a buzzword anymore. It's a return to what leadership actually used to look like before the era of professional manager kind of came into play. You have to do the work, but you also have to lead. You can't just oversee from above. You have to really be in it. The mid career managers who build careers on coordination are starting to watch their roles really thin out. The new path is adapt, ship fast, work alongside agents, or you're going to be left behind. Everyone in every role is being asked to become an entrepreneur in their own seat. Not directly. No one's going to ask that question directly. And I know this sounds insane. It also sounds exhausting. I know. Both things are true at the same time. But the leverage is real. The cost is real as well. There is no boss that's going to tell you exactly what to do anymore, which is kind of freeing if you think about it, right up until the moment that it becomes absolutely terrifying because you are the founder of your own role. You are the operator of your role, you are the strategist of your role. The agents will execute, but you're gonna decide, delegate, and drive the delivery. This is what's happening. The second shift is that you are now the CEO of your own job. Whether you wanted that promotion or not, you're still going to start to have it. And the speed floor is moving from under our feet, whether we noticed it or not. Let's talk about shift number 3, the growth playbook breaks. If you've ever built a company, run growth, or done any kind of marketing whatsoever, this one is for you. Every assumption you operated under for the last decade is breaking in real time. Elena Verna runs growth at Lovable and has advised companies like Dropbox, MongoDB, Mirror, SurveyMonkey, and dozens of other companies. She mentioned that more than 60% of the traditional growth tactics no longer apply to AI companies. And the product market fit, which used to be a thing you found once and then you defend, now needs to be refound and rediscovered every 3 months. How crazy is that? Quarterly product market fit. That's the new pace. Why, maybe you're asking? Well, because AI is moving fast enough that the customer behavior is changing right under your feet. The thing that was core to your product maybe 6 months ago is now a feature inside someone else's tool, dashboard, offering. The audience you spent 2 years educating just learned the exact same thing in one single conversation with Claude or ChatGPT. Your competitor that didn't exist last quarter just shipped your entire roadmap. Every single channel you used to rely on is breaking at once. SEO is becoming the feeding channel for AI search instead of getting traffic sourced to you. Paid ads are getting more and more expensive and really harder to attribute because of all the AI generated noise that floods every single platform these days. Community is reshaping as well because AI native tools and workflows, which means that the old pattern of you build a Discord channel and post regularly approach doesn't really land the exact same way. And underneath all of it, pricing, I don't know if you noticed this, but pricing is moving from per seat to per task to outcome base, which means that the unit economics of every single business are being renegotiated, reshaped, and rethought. So, what's the main takeaway, you might ask? Well, if your strategy deck is more than 9 months old, you probably should kind of have to throw it out. If your growth approach was working a year ago and isn't anymore, well, the playbook or your strategy didn't really fail you. It's more that it changed while you didn't notice. The new playbook is actually being figured out in public by people willing to test really fast, put some money in, and rebuild faster. The third shift is that the growth playbook you trusted is now a starting point, not really a roadmap. So, my advice to you is pivot, 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 retry, rebuild, retest, pivot again. Shift number 4, the infrastructure is being rerouted. Now, zoom out, zoom way out, because this one isn't just about your job and your phone. This one is about everything around them and around you. Here are some numbers just to put things a little bit more in perspective. The tech sector is 8.9% of US GDP. And I know that sounds modest, but 6 tech industries accounted for 35% of all US economic growth between 2013 and 2022, according to the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation. The US actually accounted for 41% of all the global tech spending in 2024. That plus 46% of all AI software spending. Forrester forecasts global tech spending will pass $5 trillion in 2026 and $6 trillion by 2029. So, what does that really mean for someone who doesn't really work in tech and maybe is not in the crazy, hazy AI whirlwind? Well, it means that their power bill is going up because the data centers are eating the regional electricity. The World Economics Forum reports that $64 billion of US data center projects have been halted or delayed by local opposition since 2023. People who don't really care about AI are showing up at zoning meetings to fight for the infrastructure that powers it. This means that their kids' job markets are reshaping in real time. Stanford research shows entry-level jobs in AI-exposed fields are already declining. That means it's happening more with hiring freezes and layoffs. It means the news they see, the prices they pay, the election they vote in, the entertainment they consume, all of it is being reshaped by decision made inside AI rooms. The economic answer to whether the tech world influences the rest of the world is yes. The cultural answer is yes. The political answer is, of course. The honest answer is that there is no part of modern life that isn't being touched by what's being built right now in a really small group of people in a small set of cities. The fourth shift is that even people who never typed a prompt are about to feel the AI impact in their power bill, their kids' jobs, their grocery prices, and the headlines that they're going to wake up to. Shift number 5. The 10% of us are shaping the other 90%. And now we get to the one that nobody really wants to talk about. Let's get specific about how small this group that I was mentioning really is, because it is way much smaller than you ever thought. The US tech workforce is just over 6 million people. The World Economic Forum puts the global tech sector around $8.9 trillion in the market size, like we mentioned, which is actually bigger than the GDP of every country except for United States and China. Sounds enormous and crazy in the same time. Now divide. Out of 8.25 billion humans on Earth, total tech employment is somewhere in the tens of millions. That is a fraction of 1% of humanity. Now layer AI on top. ChatGPT's 900 million weekly active users sounds ginormous until you read OpenAI's own usage research, which found that between 70 to 73% of the users are actually using it for non-work related purposes. People are using it to plan trips, draft birthday messages, emails, look up recipes, ask questions they're embarrassed to maybe ask someone else. It's also banned in 36 countries. Keep that in mind. Adoption in global north countries sits around 25%. In the global south is actually about 14%. The people building, deploying, and reasoning about AI for a living, the ones on every single podcast, panel, conference that you see, are a really tiny minority of a even tinier, smaller minority, a few hundred thousands worldwide who are actually shaping the products, a few million more who use them daily for work, and then everyone else. Think about that. And then there's the part most of us actually forget that they exist. 2.2 billion people are not even online at all in 2026. That number is bigger than the population of United States, European Union, and Japan combined. How insane is that? Of the 6 billion people who are online right now, most of them are using for their phones, their messaging, the social media, the videos, shopping. None of them are really running 9 agents on a Mac Mini and managing their whole family schedule. They are not writing prompts. They are not stressed about whether their job will exist in 2 to 5 years. And I want to be very careful here because there's a version of this point that sounds a bit dismissive. And this is not what I'm saying here. Not panicking about AI is not the same thing as not being affected by it. The people outside the AI bubble are absolutely going to feel the impact of AI 100%. They're just not in the same conversation about it. That's where there's the asymmetry. That's where things shift. The 90% get the consequences and they don't even get the participation. The fifth shift is the one that matters the absolute most, if you ask me, because it's the shift behind every other shift that we talked about. The 10% of us, the ones in this room, the ones building with AI, the ones writing, the ones deciding what to fund and what to ship, what to use AI for, are really shaping the future of AI and indirectly the future of the other 90%, whether we like it or not. And that's not a brag. It really isn't. It's a responsibility that most of us never really thought about. So, what does this mean exactly for those of us inside the room? Well, if you're inside the AI room, the temptation is to assume that everyone is having the exact same conversation you are. That's how you end up with founders building products for a market that doesn't really exist outside their own group chat. It's how you end up exhausted, wondering why your friends outside the tech world all seem to be doing fine and no one is freaking out. They're all doing fine because they are not in this. Ignorance is bliss, my friends. Sometimes that's so true. They're not refreshing X to see what model dropped. They're not listening to 4 podcasts every day just to keep up with what's happening. They're not rewriting their workflows every single month. They're actually living their lives in the most human way. But there is something to learn from that. The people outside the bubble are not behind. They're operating at a different tempo. And that tempo, the one that most of humanity actually runs at, is probably closer to sustainability than ours is. The other thing to learn is a little bit of humility, even though I hate that word. Whatever we're building right now, we are building it for them too. They didn't ask for it. They might never actually use it directly, but it's going to shape the world they live in one way or another, whether they ask for it or not. And that's our responsibility too. All right, that's it for today. If this episode helped, maybe send it to someone who uses AI but has never thought about the full impact of it before. If you loved or hated this episode, let us know in the comments below. We're here for both, as always. And let's get the conversation started. And don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the upcoming episodes. We have tons of interesting subjects coming up. And come and join us over at our free community on thecasualleader.com for workshop calls, OKR support, accountability check-ins, AI updates, and more. Until next time, keep being you authentically, lead clearly, build smarter, and remember, everything starts with you. Start casual, keep going, keep growing. See you next week. Bye.